The damaged cargo ship drifted silently through the star-filled void, its hull scared and dark. From a distance, it looked like just another piece of space debris, the kind that littered the borders of the Bright Empire's territory. The ship's name, Star Wanderer, was barely visible under layers of carefully applied scorch marks. Inside the bridge, Captain James Walker stood perfectly still in the darkness, watching through the viewscreen as 3 sleek alien patrol ships passed by his vessel. Their blue-white engines pulsed with clean energy, a stark contrast to his ship's apparent derelict state. He didn't dare breathe until their scanners swept over the Star Wanderer and moved on. "They bought it," whispered Anna Reed, her fingers dancing over the engineering console. The young doctor had spent months perfecting their disguise. "Their scan registered us as exactly what we appear to be. A dead human cargo ship." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Status of the stealth systems." "Holding steady," Anna replied. "The heat sinks are working perfectly. As far as they can tell, we're cold and lifeless." Tom Martinez, the weapons officer, emerged from the shadows of his station. "Those patrol ships could have blown us to dust with a single shot," he said, his voice tight with tension. "Makes you wonder why they didn't bother." "They didn't bother because we're beneath their notice," Walker said, his tone bitter but satisfied. "The mighty Bright Empire doesn't waste ammunition on space junk. Their arrogance is our greatest advantage." The bridge fell silent again as the crew watched the patrol ships disappear into the distance. They were running with minimal power, every system carefully masked. The ship's revolutionary stealth technology didn't just hide them from scanners. It made them look like garbage. Walker moved to the central display, where a map showed their position relative to Empire space. They had crossed the border successfully, but this was just the beginning. The real challenge lay ahead, deep in enemy territory. "Status report," he ordered quietly, even though there was no way the enemy could hear them. "Old habits died hard in space. Life support running at 20%, perfectly masked," Anna reported. "The heat sinks can handle another 72 hours before we need to vent. Weapons systems dormant but ready," Tom added. "All cargo containers secure." He didn't mention what was really inside those containers. Even here, among trusted crew, some things were better left unspoken. Walker nodded, studying the map. The Bright Empire had expanded rapidly in the last decade, swallowing up human colonies one by one. They called humans a pest species, something to be exterminated before it could spread further into space. Their technology was centuries ahead of Earth's, their ships faster, their weapons more powerful, their shields impenetrable. But they had never faced anything like the Star Wanderer. "Begin recording," Walker said softly. "Ship's log, encrypted. Day 1 of Operation Phoenix. We have successfully penetrated the Empire's outer defense perimeter. Their patrol ships dismissed us as debris, exactly as predicted. The stealth systems developed by Dr. Reed are performing beyond expectations. We are now officially in enemy space, the first human vessel to penetrate this deep since the war began." He paused, watching as another contact appeared on their long-range sensors. This time, it was a massive cargo hauler, its hull gleaming with the distinctive golden sheen of Empire technology. The alien ship was easily 20 times their size, and its weight caused the Star Wanderer to tumble slightly. "The enemy continues to demonstrate their technological superiority," Walker continued his log. "The cargo ship that just passed us had more firepower than an entire Earth battle group. Yet they remain blind to our presence. Their scanners, programmed to detect energy signatures and advanced materials, overlook us completely. We appear as nothing more than a hulk of basic metals and inactive systems." Anna's console beeped softly. "Captain, picking up transmissions. The Empire's civilian channels are unencrypted. They're celebrating." Walker moved to her station, reading the translated alien text as it scrolled across her screen. His jaw tightened. "They're celebrating the fall of Watson Colony," he said for the log. "The 14th human settlement to be destroyed this year. Population Population was 50,000. Tom's hands clenched on his console. My sister was on Watson, he said quietly. She was a teacher. Walker placed a hand on his weapons officer's shoulder. They all had lost someone to the Empire's extermination campaign. That's why they had volunteered for this mission. That's why they were willing to risk everything. Continue monitoring transmissions, Walker ordered, but maintain communications blackout. We're not here to gather intelligence. We have a different purpose. The bridge crew nodded. They all knew the mission. The Star Wanderer was carrying humanity's last hope, a weapon unlike anything ever developed. The cargo containers that filled their hold didn't contain supplies or trade goods. They contained Project Phoenix, a system so classified that even the crew didn't know exactly how it worked. Hours passed in tense silence as they drifted deeper into enemy space. They passed more patrol ships, military vessels, and civilian craft. Each time, their disguise held. Each time, the mighty ships of the Bright Empire ignored the pitiful human wreck. Update from engineering. Anna reported after their sixth encounter. The outer hull plating is starting to heat up from solar radiation. We'll need to rotate the ship 40 degrees to maintain our temperature signature. Walker authorized the adjustment. The maneuver would take almost an hour at their minimal power settings, but they couldn't risk using the maneuvering thrusters. Any sign of active systems would give them away. As the ship slowly turned, they caught sight of their first Empire world. The planet was massive, its surface covered in sprawling cities that glowed with golden light. Orbital platforms and defense stations formed a protective web around it. Messages and ships filled the space around the planet, a testament to the Empire's power and prosperity. Look at them, Tom whispered. They're not even at war footing. This is just business as usual. Killing us is just another day's work for them. That's going to change, Walker said firmly. The Empire thinks they know humanity's capabilities. They think they've seen everything we can throw at them. That's why this mission will succeed. Because they've dismissed us, underestimated us, written us off. He turned to face his small crew, his voice barely above a whisper but filled with determination. They see a dead ship, so that's what we'll be. Dead and drifting, all the way to their central military base. And then we'll show them exactly what humanity is capable of. The Star Wanderer continued its slow tumble through space, looking for all the world like a piece of debris caught in the planet's gravitational field. Inside, its crew watched and waited, gathering data, staying silent. They were the ghost in the Empire's machine, the wolf in sheep's clothing, the trap waiting to be sprung. In his quarters later, Walker reviewed the day's sensor logs. The Empire's arrogance was staggering. Their ships didn't even maintain basic security protocols around what they saw as debris. Their transmissions were unencrypted, their patrol patterns predictable. They had grown so used to being the supreme power that they had forgotten the basic military principle: never underestimate your enemy. Soon they would remember. Soon they would learn. But for now, the Star Wanderer drifted on, playing dead, moving slowly but inexorably toward its target. Inside its hold, Project Phoenix waited, silent and patient, humanity's answer to an empire that thought them vermin. The hunter that looked like prey continued its journey into the heart of enemy space. The ship they ignored would soon become the ship they feared. But that was a revelation for another day. For now, there was only the drift, the darkness, and the silent promise of retribution to come. 3 months earlier, the underground bunker of Earth's United Defense Council buzzed with nervous energy. Maps and holographic displays covered the walls, showing the steady advance of the Bright Empire's forces. Red markers indicated fallen human colonies, while blue ones showed the few that remained. The balance was not in humanity's favor. Walker sat in an uncomfortable metal chair, watching council members file into the room. Their faces were grim, their uniforms pristine but worn. These were people who hadn't slept properly in months. The war was going badly, and everyone knew it. Captain Walker, Admiral Stone began, his voice rough from too many sleepless nights. What I'm about to tell you doesn't leave this room. If you decline this mission, you'll be given memory suppressants. Do you understand?" Walker nodded. Next to him, Anna Reed and Tom Martinez sat quietly. They had all been through heavy security screening before even entering the bunker. Whatever this was, it was big. The Admiral pressed a button, and the room's main screen lit up with images of destroyed Empire ships. 3 weeks ago, we lost Watson Colony, but before it fell, they managed to shoot down one of the Empire's destroyers. It was a lucky hit, 1 in a million. But it gave us something we've never had before: intact Empire technology. The screen showed pictures of strange golden machinery, unlike anything Walker had seen before. "Their tech is biological in nature," the Admiral continued. "Their ships are partly alive. That's why our weapons usually don't work. Their hulls adapt and heal. But our scientists found something interesting. The living metal has a weakness." Anna Reed leaned forward, her eyes wide. As an engineer, she understood the implications. "You found a way to kill their ships," she said softly. "Better." The Admiral's smile was cold. "We found a way to turn their own technology against them. Project Phoenix isn't just a weapon. It's a virus. A virus designed to infect and control their living metal." The room went silent. Walker felt a chill run down his spine. This was why they had been chosen. Not for their combat skills, but for their ability to deliver a disease into the heart of the Empire. The Admiral pressed another button, and a new image appeared. A cargo ship. "The Star Wanderer," he said. "An old rust bucket that was about to be scrapped. We've modified it. On the surface, it looks like space debris. Underneath, it's carrying 30 cargo containers, each holding a piece of Project Phoenix." "How does it work?" Martins asked, his voice careful. A scientist stepped forward. Dr. Wells, according to her name tag. "The Empire's ships communicate through a biological network, like a nervous system. Project Phoenix hijacks that network. Each unit contains a small piece of modified Empire tech that acts like a virus. Once activated, it spreads through their network, turning their ship's systems against them. And our job is delivery," Walker said. It wasn't a question. "Your job is to get those containers into the heart of Empire space," the Admiral confirmed. "Their main fleet base, the place where they coordinate all military operations against us. Once there, you'll activate Project Phoenix. If it works as designed, their entire fleet will tear itself apart." Dr. Wells continued the briefing, showing them the technical specifications of their modified ship. The stealth system was revolutionary. Instead of trying to hide from Empire sensors, it would make the ship look exactly like what they would expect to see: a dead human vessel, victim of their superior firepower. "The Empire is arrogant," the Admiral said. "They don't clean up after their victories. Space is littered with the remains of our ships and stations. You'll be hiding in plain sight." The briefing continued for hours. They learned about the ship's modified systems, the maintenance requirements, the backup plans. Everything had been thought of, every detail considered. This was humanity's last real chance to turn the tide. "There's something else you need to know," Dr. Wells said near the end. "The biological components we're using. They're unstable. Once Project Phoenix activates, you'll have 6 hours to clear the area. After that, the components will break down. We can't risk the Empire recovering and studying them." "And if we're discovered before reaching the target?" Martins asked. "Your ship is rigged with explosives," the Admiral said bluntly. "Powerful enough to destroy everything, including Project Phoenix. If you're detected, you'll have to make a choice." Walker looked at his crew. They had served together for 5 years, through countless battles. He knew them, trusted them. Now he was asking them to join him on what might be a suicide mission. "The Empire thinks they know us," the Admiral said, reading the doubt in Walker's eyes. "They think we're predictable, primitive. They expect us to fight with warships and missiles. They expect us to die bravely but futilely. They don't expect this." The briefing room's screen showed more images of destroyed colonies, Watson, New Sydney, Hope's Landing. Millions dead, millions more who would die if the Empire wasn't stopped. I'm not ordering you to take this mission, the Admiral said quietly. It has to be your choice. All of you. The risk of capture, the Empire's interrogation methods. He didn't need to finish the sentence. Walker stood up. How long do we have to prepare? The ship is ready now. We've been modifying it for months, waiting for the right crew. The Empire expects another major push against our colonies within 6 months. You need to reach their fleet base before then. Anna Reed raised her hand. The technical specifications of the stealth system. They're like nothing I've seen before. Who designed it? The Admiral's face tightened. The team that designed it was on Watson Colony. The plans we have are all that's left. The room went quiet again. Walker looked at his crew. Martinez had lost his sister on Watson. Now they knew she wasn't the only loss that day. When do we leave? Walker asked. Tonight, the Admiral replied. A freighter will take you to the edge of Empire space. From there, you're on your own. Remember, total communications blackout once you cross their border. No messages, no signals. As far as Earth is concerned, you'll be listed as missing in action, presumed dead. They spent the rest of the day studying their mission. The route, the backup plans, the endless technical details of maintaining their disguise. Dr. Wells worked with Anna, explaining the intricacies of the stealth system. Martinez learned about Project Phoenix's deployment sequence. Just before they left the bunker, the Admiral pulled Walker aside. There's one more thing, he said quietly. Something not in the official briefing. If you reach the target, if you succeed, there's no coming back. The explosion when Project Phoenix self-destructs will leave no survivors. Walker nodded. He had already guessed as much. The crew. Tell them or don't. Your choice. But they need to be on that ship when it leaves tonight. Walker looked through the briefing room's window. Anna and Martinez were still studying the technical readouts, preparing for the mission. They had followed him through years of war. Now he would lead them on one final mission. We'll be ready, he said. The Admiral gripped his shoulder. Good hunting, Captain. Show these bastards what humanity can do. That night, under cover of darkness, they boarded the Star Wanderer. As the ship lifted off, Walker watched his crew at their stations. They had all lost something to the Empire. Now they had a chance to make those losses mean something. The ship that would change the course of the war departed Earth for the last time, carrying its deadly cargo and its brave crew into the heart of enemy space. The Empire would never see them coming. They would never expect their doom to arrive in such a humble package. The hunt was about to begin. The Star Wanderer floated past another Empire city ship, its massive golden hull stretching for miles. Through the bridge windows, the crew watched in silent awe as the huge vessel moved through space like a living thing. Schools of smaller ships buzzed around it like fish around a whale. Their arrogance is incredible, Anna whispered from her engineering station. Look at all the lights, the open hangars. They're not even trying to hide their movements. She checked her readings again, making sure their own ship's stealth systems were still working perfectly. One slip, one power surge, and they would be discovered. Walker stood at his usual spot on the bridge, watching the city ship pass. They had been in Empire space for 2 weeks now, drifting deeper into enemy territory. Each day brought new wonders and new reasons to hate the Empire. Their technology wasn't just advanced. It was beautiful, graceful, perfect. And they used it to destroy anything they considered beneath them. The ship's log was full of recordings now. They had seen shipyards bigger than Earth's moon, defense platforms that could destroy entire fleets, and trading posts where 1,000 alien species gathered to do business. But no humans, never humans. The Empire had made sure of that. Temperature rising in cargo hold 3, Anna reported quietly. The Phoenix units are getting restless. Martinez moved to help her adjust the cooling systems. The living metal in their cargo holds needed constant attention. Sometimes it tried to activate early, sensing the Empire tech around them. They couldn't let that happen. Not yet. How much longer? Martins asked, his voice barely above a whisper. They had all gotten used to speaking softly, as if the Empire ships might hear them through the vacuum of space. Walker checked their position on the navigation display. 5 days to the target. If we maintain this drift pattern, assuming we don't have to change course again. They had already been forced to alter their path twice to avoid Empire patrol routes. The enemy ships might ignore them as debris, but too many close passes would look suspicious. Even space junk followed the laws of physics. A new alert flashed on Anna's screen. Energy spike in the city ship, she reported. They're powering up their main drive. The crew watched as the massive vessel's engines came to life, filling space with brilliant blue-white light. The Star Wanderer rocked in the energy wake, its hull creaking under the strain. Hull temperature rising, Anna said, her fingers flying over her controls. The radiation shielding is having trouble compensating. Let it rise, Walker ordered. A dead ship would be affected by their engine wash. We need to look natural. They endured 10 minutes of buffeting as the city ship accelerated away. When it was finally gone, Anna ran a full system check. No damage, she reported. But 3 of the Phoenix units tried to activate during the energy surge. I had to flood their containers with coolant. Walker nodded. Good work. How are our power reserves? Down to 60%. We'll need to do a solar recharge soon. Plot a course that will take us through the light of that red giant, Walker ordered, pointing to a massive star in the distance. We can absorb energy there without looking suspicious. As Martinez adjusted their drift trajectory, Walker studied the navigation display again. They were passing through the Empire's core worlds now. The space around them was full of ships and stations, all of them powerful enough to destroy the Star Wanderer with a single shot. But none of them did. None of them even looked twice at the little human ship tumbling through their territory. Dead ships were common here, monuments to the Empire's victories. The Star Wanderer was just one more piece of debris in a galaxy full of human failures. Hours passed in tense silence. Anna monitored the Phoenix units, keeping them cool and dormant. Martinez updated their drift calculations, making sure they stayed on course while looking random. Walker watched everything, recording it all for a report that would probably never reach Earth. Contact, Martinez said suddenly. Big one. Coming in from the port side. They all turned to look. Through the bridge windows, they saw another Empire vessel approaching. But this one was different. Instead of the usual golden color, its hull was deep blue, almost black. As it passed close to them, they could see strange patterns shifting across its surface. Military, Walker said quietly. High command, by the look of it. Record everything. The dark ship moved past them slowly, escorted by a dozen smaller vessels. Its hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, making it hard to look at directly. This was Empire technology they hadn't seen before. Sir, Anna said, her voice shaking slightly. The Phoenix units, they're reacting to that ship. All of them. The containment systems are struggling. Walker moved to her station, watching the readouts. The living metal in their cargo holds was straining toward the dark ship, like iron filings toward a magnet. Whatever that vessel was, it had a strong connection to the Empire's biological technology. Reroute emergency power to containment, he ordered. We can't let Phoenix activate. Not here. Not yet. Anna worked frantically at her controls while Martinez prepared the emergency coolant systems. For 5 tense minutes, they fought to keep their cargo dormant as the dark ship passed by. If any of the Phoenix units activated now, the mission would be over. Finally, the strange vessel moved out of range. The Phoenix units settled back to their normal state, and the crew could breathe again. What was that? Martinez asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. Some kind of command ship, Walker said. The Phoenix units recognized it. Probably uses the same biological technology, but more advanced. He made a note in the log. If they survived to deliver this information, Earth would want to know about these black ships. Anna ran another system check. Containment is holding, but that took a lot of power. We're down to 40% now. We need that solar recharge soon. Walker nodded. Adjust course for the red giant, but make it look natural, like we're being pulled by gravity. They spent the next day drifting toward the massive red star. Its light filled the bridge with a crimson glow, making everything look like it was covered in blood. The solar collectors hidden beneath their hull's scared plates slowly absorbed energy, recharging their batteries. As they waited, Walker thought about the dark ship they had seen. The Empire wasn't just powerful. They were still developing new technologies, still advancing. Earth's scientists had barely understood the basic golden ships. This new variant was generations beyond that. But none of that would matter soon. In 5 days, they would reach the Empire's main fleet base. In 5 days, they would show them that humanity's technology might be primitive, but it could still be deadly. The Star Wanderer continued its careful drift through enemy space, playing dead, staying quiet. Inside its holds, the Phoenix units waited like coiled springs, ready to unleash destruction on the Empire that thought itself invincible. 5 more days. 5 days of pretending to be debris, of maintaining their deception, of staying invisible in plain sight. 5 days until they could strike back at the Empire that had killed so many of their people. The hunt was almost over. Soon, the hunted would become the hunter. The Empire's main fleet base filled the entire view through the Star Wanderer's bridge windows. It was enormous, a massive ring structure that circled a blue-white star. Thousands of ships moved in perfect formation around it, their golden hulls shining in the starlight. This was the heart of the Empire's military might, the staging ground for their final attack on Earth's remaining colonies. "We're in position," Martinez said quietly. His hands hovered over the weapons controls, ready to start the sequence they had practiced countless times. Walker stood at the center of the bridge, watching the fleet movements. Everything they had seen until now had been nothing compared to this. The Empire had gathered enough firepower here to destroy every human settlement in the galaxy 10 times over. "Status of Phoenix units?" he asked. Anna checked her readings. All 30 units ready. They can sense the Empire ships. They want to wake up. She paused, looking at a new reading. "Sir, I'm detecting that dark ship again. It's docked at the central hub." Walker nodded. Of course, the strange command ship would be here. This was where the Empire planned their extinction. He took a deep breath, thinking about all the colonies that had been destroyed, all the lives lost. Watson, New Sydney, Hope's Landing. Now they would have their revenge. "Begin activation sequence," he ordered. Martinez started typing commands into his console. In the cargo holds below, the 30 Phoenix units began to power up. Their containers, disguised as simple cargo boxes, started to transform. "Empire ships are still ignoring us," Anna reported. "They think we're just another piece of debris floating near their base." The first alarm came exactly 3 seconds later. A nearby Empire patrol ship suddenly changed course, its sensors detecting the power surge from the Phoenix units. But it was already too late. The cargo containers burst open, releasing their deadly cargo. Each Phoenix unit was about the size of a small shuttle, their surfaces rippling with the same living metal the Empire used in their ships. But these units glowed red instead of gold, their biological systems altered by Earth scientists to turn them into weapons. "Multiple contacts," Martinez called out. "Empire ships moving to intercept." "Let them come," Walker said coldly. "Activate Phase 2. The Phoenix units spread out like a swarm of angry insects. The nearest Empire ship fired at them, but the shots passed harmlessly through their altered shields. When the units reached the ship, they didn't attack it. They merged with it. "It's working," Anna whispered, watching her displays. "The virus is spreading through their biological network." The infected Empire ship's golden surface turned red, then started firing on its companions. The nearby vessels, confused by the sudden betrayal, fired back. But their shots couldn't penetrate their own shield technology, even in its altered state. More Phoenix units reached more ships. Each vessel they touched turned against its allies, spreading chaos through the perfectly ordered fleet. The Empire's mighty warships, pride of their civilization, began tearing each other apart. Multiple distress calls detected. Martins reported, his voice filled with grim satisfaction. They're panicking. Their own command networks are being used against them. Walker watched as the infection spread. The Phoenix units were doing exactly what they were designed to do, turning the Empire's greatest strength into a weakness. Their linked ships, their biological technology, their perfect communication system, all of it was becoming a weapon against them. The dark command ship launched from the central hub, its escorts moving to protect it. But 3 Phoenix units were already heading for it, drawn to its powerful biological signature. "Sir," Anna called out. "The command ship, it's different. Its defenses are stronger. The Phoenix units can't merge with it directly." Walker smiled. "They don't need to. Look." The infected Empire ships were turning their weapons on the command ship. Hundreds of golden vessels, now glowing red with the Phoenix virus, opened fire simultaneously. Not even the advanced black hull could withstand that much firepower. The command ship disappeared in a massive explosion. "Time check," Walker said. 4 hours until Phoenix breakdown, Anna reported. "We need to clear the area before then." But they couldn't leave yet. Walker had one more task to complete. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Full broadcast, all frequencies." Martinez looked up in surprise. "Sir," breaking radio silence. "They know we're here now. Might as well give them our message." The communication system powered up for the first time since they entered Empire space. Walker stood straight, thinking of all the humans who had died thinking their species would be exterminated, that their deaths meant nothing. "To the bright Empire," he said clearly, his words being translated into their language. "You considered humans a pest species, something to be exterminated. You never bothered to study us properly. Never bothered to learn what we're capable of. That was your mistake." Around them, the mighty Empire fleet was tearing itself apart. Ships crashed into each other, fired on their allies, rammed the central base. The perfect order had descended into chaos. "Humanity doesn't just survive," Walker continued. "We adapt. We learn. You gave us your technology when you destroyed our colonies. We studied it, changed it, turned it against you. This is how vermin bite back." The base's main reactor exploded, sending a shockwave through space. The Star Wanderer's hull creaked under the strain, but held together. They had built this ship to survive just long enough to deliver its message. "Remember this day," Walker said. "Remember that you brought this upon yourselves. Remember what happened when you underestimated humanity." He cut the transmission. Around them, the destruction continued. The Phoenix units had infected nearly 1,000 ships now. The Empire's entire invasion fleet was destroying itself, along with the base that had launched so many attacks on human colonies. 3 hours until Phoenix breakdown, Anna reported. "We need to go." Walker nodded. "Set course for deep space. Maximum power to engines." The Star Wanderer's engines came to life for the first time in weeks. They would never make it back to Earth. They had always known that. The ship had been modified too much, stripped down to carry its deadly cargo. It would barely hold together long enough to clear the blast zone. As they accelerated away from the dying base, Walker looked at his crew. Anna, who had kept their deception working for so long. Martinez, who had lost his sister but found his revenge. They had all known this was a one-way mission. They had all chosen to come anyway. Behind them, the Empire's greatest fleet base continued to tear itself apart. The Phoenix units would break down soon, taking their infected ships with them in a chain reaction that would destroy everything in the area. The Empire would survive. They were too big, too powerful to be destroyed by one attack. But they would remember. They would remember the day their mightiest fleet was destroyed by a single human cargo ship. They would remember that the pests they had tried to exterminate had stung them back. The Star Wanderer fled into deep space, carrying its triumphant crew on their final journey. They had changed the course of the war. They had shown the Empire that humanity would not go quietly into extinction. Behind them, their virus continued to spread through the Empire's fleet, turning their perfect machines against them, proving that sometimes the deadliest weapon was the one they never saw coming. News of the devastation spread through the Empire's worlds like a shockwave. Their mighty fleet base, the pride of their military, had been destroyed. 1,000 ships lost, their finest commanders dead, their invasion plans ruined, and all because of a single human vessel they had ignored. The Star Wanderer's message played on every channel, translated into hundreds of alien languages. Walker's words echoed through the Empire's perfect cities. This is how vermin bite back. The Empire's citizens, who had never thought twice about the extinction of a lesser species, began to look at the stars with fear. In the depths of space, far from the destruction they had caused, the Star Wanderer's crew made their final preparations. The ship's engines were failing, strained beyond their limits by their desperate escape. They had cleared the blast zone, but there would be no rescue, no return to Earth. They had always known this would be their final mission. Phoenix breakdown in 30 minutes, Anna reported from her engineering station. Her voice was tired but proud. The chain reaction has already started at the fleet base. Nothing will survive. Walker stood at his familiar spot on the bridge, watching the distant explosion on their long-range sensors. The Empire's mighty base was collapsing in on itself as the infected ships crashed into each other. Their biological technology turned into a weapon of self-destruction. "Send the final report," he ordered. A small probe, barely larger than a football, launched from the Star Wanderer's hull. It would carry the news of their success back to Earth, along with all the data they had gathered about Empire technology. "Do you think it will change anything?" Martins asked, watching the probe disappear into faster-than-light speed. "Will they stop hunting us now?" "They'll have to," Anna said. "We proved they're not invincible. We showed them that humans can hurt them. They'll think twice before attacking another colony." Walker nodded. The Empire had lost more than ships and soldiers today. They had lost their sense of invulnerability. Their perfect technology, their biological ships that they were so proud of, had been turned against them by the very species they considered vermin. "New contacts," Martins reported suddenly. "Empire ships, fast ones. They must have been outside the infection zone." Through the bridge windows, they could see the golden ships approaching. These weren't the mighty warships they had destroyed. They were smaller, faster patrol vessels. But even one of them could easily destroy the damaged Star Wanderer. "Distance to Phoenix breakdown?" Walker asked. 20 minutes, Anna replied. "The blast will reach us in 22 minutes. Those ships, they're too close. They'll be caught in it too." Walker smiled. Even now, the Empire's arrogance was working against them. They were so eager to catch the ship that had humiliated them. They didn't realize they were flying into a trap. "Open a channel," he ordered. Martinez looked up in surprise. "Sir, you want to talk to them. They deserve one last warning. It's more than they ever gave us." The communication system crackled to life. The Empire ships were broadcasting demands for their surrender, threats of punishment for their attack. Walker waited for them to finish, then spoke calmly. "This is Captain James Walker of the Star Wanderer. You're pursuing us into a death zone. The Phoenix breakdown will destroy everything in this sector in 19 minutes. Turn back, or you'll die with us." The Empire ships didn't slow down. Of course they didn't. They couldn't believe that prey would choose death, couldn't understand that humans would sacrifice themselves to complete their mission. "They're not listening," Martinez said. "They never did," Walker replied. "That's why we beat them." The Empire ships drew closer, their weapons charging. They expected the human vessel to surrender, to beg for mercy. They still didn't understand what they were dealing with. 15 minutes to breakdown, Anna reported. Sir, it's been an honor. Walker looked at his crew. They had followed him across enemy space, maintained their disguise for weeks, and struck a blow that the Empire would never forget. Now they would complete their mission with one final act of defiance. Launch the backup probe, he ordered. Let's make sure Earth gets our message. A second small probe shot away from the ship, heading in a different direction than the first. The Empire ships ignored it, too focused on their prey. Their golden hulls gleamed in the starlight as they moved to surround the Star Wanderer. 10 minutes, Anna said quietly. The Empire ships opened fire. Their energy weapons struck the Star Wanderer's hull, burning through the outer plating. But they were too late. Nothing they could do would stop what was coming. Play the message again, Walker ordered. All frequencies. His words echoed through space one final time. You considered humans a pest species, something to be exterminated. That was your mistake. The Empire ships moved closer, preparing to board the damaged human vessel. They wanted prisoners, wanted to know how their perfect technology had been corrupted. They never saw the real threat until it was too late. 5 minutes, Anna reported. Her engineering screens were filled with warnings as the ship's systems failed one by one. It was a good plan, Martine said, watching the Empire ships close in, using their arrogance against them, making them ignore us until it was too late. It was the only way, Walker replied. We could never beat them in a fair fight. But they never expected us to fight dirty. The first signs of the Phoenix breakdown began to appear. The infected ships back at the fleet base were exploding, their biological technology destroying itself in a chain reaction. The blast wave was spreading, moving faster than any ship could escape. 1 minute, Anna said. The Empire ships were finally realizing their danger, finally trying to retreat. But they had come too far. Their pride had led them into the trap. Send the final transmission, Walker ordered. Martinez typed the commands with steady hands. Across every frequency in every language the Empire used, their last message played. Remember the colonies you destroyed. Remember the lives you took. And remember the ship you ignored. The ship that brought your pride crashing down. The Phoenix breakdown reached them in a wave of blinding light. The Empire ships disappeared first, their biological technology making them more vulnerable to the chain reaction. The Star Wanderer held together a few seconds longer, its primitive hull resisting the breakdown. In those final moments, Walker thought about Earth, about the colonies that would now have a chance to survive. The Empire would recover eventually, but they would never again see humanity as mere pests to be exterminated. They would remember the Star Wanderer, the ship they had ignored until it was too late. The breakdown wave consumed them, erasing all trace of their ship and their sacrifice. But their message had been sent, their mission completed. The probes would reach Earth, carrying news of their victory and warnings about the Empire's technology. The war would continue, but everything had changed. The Empire had learned that even vermin could bite back, that their perfect technology could be turned against them, that their arrogance had cost them their greatest fleet. And somewhere in the Empire's perfect cities, their leaders looked at the reports of destruction with new eyes. They had thought themselves gods, had treated other species as insects to be crushed. Now they had learned that even insects could sting, and that their sting could be deadly. The Star Wanderer was gone, but its legacy would live on. The ship they had ignored had changed the galaxy forever.